we audible?
Are we audible?
Are we audible?
Great.
Okay, great.
Let us know when to start. Check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Come hail, come storm, or barriers in any form. With courage, I face. Tenacity is my race. No matter how often I fall, forever I rise, and that too tall. I'm not the one to tame. I am invincible, invincible, invincible. The true spirit of life's game. Ladies and gentlemen, Muscle Care, Salam, Kunbanwa, good evening. Welcome to the live event of Poetic Heart, Connecting Humanity, centered on the theme of the invincible spirit. I'm Ruchika.
And I am Neha.
And we are your hosts for the evening. Future has always been uncertain, more now than ever. But what keeps us going? What keeps us walking towards the uncertain? I think it is our invincible spirit, the ever hopeful human heart.
What a beautifully relevant theme, Ruchika. This time around, as we meet virtually, we present to you a distinctive Poetic Heart 2021. Today's event marks the 10th edition of Poetic Heart and is organized by SGI Gulf in association with Emirates NBD, Amity University, and PepsiCo. As we tune ourselves today to experience this poetic and musical extravaganza, let's briefly view the journey of Poetic Heart over the last decade, wherein renowned and budding poets have been sharing the same platform. Enjoy the video.
You want to switch?
سسکی نامی و شلوک کدکه
که توده خاکستری
كم عزت من بالأنثى
لم يزل يصدح فيها
ما برحت لها رهيبا.
I am very happy
to welcome the whole nationality, music, a lot of people. And it makes, bridges between people, not in Asia, I think around the world.
Poetry is another mean of telling a story from different perspective. And it develops the sense of empathy among the youth, and to look into the world from different perspective, as well as to have a deeper appreciation and understanding of the world as a whole.
This area celebrates poetry, literature, and peace as well. The leader of this city is a poet, and his son, Prince Hamdan, is also a poet, which shows how integrated poetry is into our fabric.
So I like to write a poem which can change a person, and he can, rehabilitate himself into a better person.
I think poetry is one of the biggest tools you can use.
It's a very nice event that gives the opportunity for kids to recite their poems that they wrote.
Forgetting that each time we breathe, we influence. That every one of us was made to live in congruence like the oceans and the land, preaching to unite for survival.
The kids came, the youngest students came, they gave their poetry, expressed themselves, and the encouragement they received. That's a
What an exemplary journey this has been. As we begin this magical experience once again, may we request Mr. Suresh Prem Kumar, the SGI Gulf chairperson, to address us and share some words on this unique event.
Now it's okay. Again, I start. I'm audible for everyone. MCs, I'm audible for you.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 10th edition of the Poetic Heart, Connecting Humanity. On behalf of SGA Gulf, it is my honor to welcome you for the day 2 of a unique poetry symposium, which is in its 10th edition this year. The Poetic Heart has served as a bright source of hope and inspiration to the community through the medium of poetry and music, promoting the important messages of peace, environment, hope, tolerance, to name a few. With the immense encouragement from Dr. Dasho Ikeda, the president of Soka International, and the continued guidance and support from renowned UAE poet Dr. Shiab Ghanam, this event has served as a platform for nearly 100 eminent poets and musicians over the years. We also deeply honored to have with us Mr. Muhammad Abdullah, the Managing Director of Dubai International Academic City and Dubai Knowledge Village, who has taken his precious time out to be with us today as our chief guest. Welcome, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you so much for being here. The theme for the Poetic Heart 2021 is Invincible Spirit, an acknowledgement of the immense courage and resilience displayed by the people across the world during this pandemic. Over the next 2.5 hours, we have poetry recitation in Arabic, Italian, Spanish, Danish, Hindi, Persian, Bengali, and English by a family of poets who will join us virtually from various corners of the globe. The session will be interspersed by the musical performance from eminent local and international musicians. We are grateful to our supporters for all the efforts that has gone into making this event a digital reality. A very warm welcome once again to our poets, performers, and audience worldwide. After a hugely successful event yesterday, I'm delighted to open the floor to this evening event. Wish you all a joyful time in this festival of poetry and music. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. for sharing this panoramic journey over the years. A gratifying journey that started in 2012 in Knowledge Village. Poetic Heart today is a thriving community of international poets, student poets, and musicians. It is our privilege to welcome you all for this very special edition, the 10th edition of Poetic Heart. An event becomes even more special when we have on board with us a very special chief guest who has spared his precious time to be a part of this soulful experience. Please welcome Mr. Mohammed Abdullah, the Managing Director of Dubai International Academic City and Dubai Knowledge Park.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be joining you today, and I would like to thank the team at SGI for their kind invitation. This is an important cultural initiative that Dubai Knowledge Park and Dubai International Academic City is proud to be associated with since it started 10 years ago. Given the exceptional global circumstances, I am pleased we can come together to celebrate the spoken word by uniting hearts and minds, to bring communities together through the power of something so simple and pure, poetry. For centuries, poetry has played a key role in society. It has served as a source of inspiration, a point of profound reflection and inclusivity, a way to connect, share wisdom, reflect on the past, grasp the present, and picture the future. It's been enjoyed for hundreds of years and remains popular today with many exciting young poets breaking through around the world. While education has faced challenges recently, inspiration can always be found in the spoken word when it comes to the aspirations of young people and the path forward. I often think of a poem written by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum on the determination of youth, from which I would like to read a few lines to mark the Poetic Heart's 10th edition. I journey on nights that know not of peace, my path ahead full of doubt and unease. Driven by valor and powerful ambition, I command the winds with utmost conviction. If the reins which I grasped were to be released, I would soar beyond the galaxy where the light has ceased. A salute to our youth, promising and ambitious, our country's tomorrow, fulfilling all wishes. Thank you, and I wish you an enjoyable evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah, for your encouraging and inspiring words of wisdom. Our heartfelt gratitude to you for gracing us with your presence. And now we have a very special message from Japan from Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, President SGI, a peace activist, nuclear disarmament advocate, educator, philosopher, and a poet with over 100 published works to his credit. Dr. Akash Kechi Ochi, SGI Director, will be sharing the message on his behalf.
Respected Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Mohammed Abdullah, and my long associated good friends, Dr. Shihab Ghanem. I'm very happy to introduce the message of Dr. Ikeda on today's occasions. Now I like to read. Message for the Poetry Symposium, The Poetic Heart Connecting Humanity 2021. Please accept my I think it became muted in between. Suresh, it has been muted for some time, I think. Should I read it from beginning or the between?
Yes, yes, you can read from the beginning, Avisan, yeah.
Beginning, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, I have unmuted, but then again became muted.
Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah.
Sorry for the, this disturbance.
No.
So this is a message from Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. Message for the Poetry Symposium, The Poetic Heart Connecting Humanity 2021. Please accept my sincere felicitations on the holding of the Poetic Heart Connecting Humanity in the beautiful and enchanting city of Dubai. I wish to express my deepest respect and appreciations to Dr. Shihab Ghanem for his many dedicated endeavors over the years. The precious exertion of our SGI Gulf friends has continued like ceaselessly flowing water throughout this time, so that this gathering of the poets can now mark a full decade of history. With a vigorous energy like that of a rushing waterfall in a high mountain valley, the poetic heart has grown to include more world-renowned poets, as well as many youthful student poets who are forging a new path to the future. This is an event where the true value of the poetry as a treasured art of humankind truly shines. In it, I see a rainbow bridge of the hope spanning in the beautiful blue skies of Dubai. This year's theme is Invincible Spirit. It is my firm conviction that it is the poetic heart that calls forth this invincible spirit from within each of us, and further has the wondrous power to connect the people life to life across difference of language, ethnicity, and nationality. And it is my deep hope and confidence that the community of the poetic heart committed to creation of value will continue to grow and swell like the mighty Ganges, nurturing the spiritual soil of humankind as it grows into a great sea of peace. February 11, 2021, Daisaku Ikeda, President, Soka Gakkai International. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ochi, for sharing such an inspiring message with all of us. Ruchika, as we now journey back, I feel spellbound by day one's poetry recitations by over 39 school and university students, the determined ones, and with awe inspiring musical performances. I remember from yesterday's event that there was one of the budding school poets, Zara Khan, who really inspired me with a heartfelt poetry on Beacon of Light that brimmed with hope.
Yes, Neha. What a wonderful experience it was with such an amazing poetry recitations. I was in awe with Vikram's incredible journey to follow his passion of making impossible possible, representing true spirit and invincible spirit. Starting today's event on a musical note, we have SGI Gulf's chorus group, Naseem, truly a fresh breeze. With their special rendition, Naseem has been performing cutting across the barriers of language and truly connecting hearts. It debuted in 2014 with a Japanese song and has been enthralling hearts since then.
While following the social distancing norms and putting technology to its fullest use, the Naseem Chorus Group has successfully managed to rehearse and put together this spectacular musical performance for all of us, truly portraying their invincible spirit, presenting to you Invincible Forever.
With the burning wow, dawning this new age here and now. As one, we rise anew, we rise anew. You and I together, invincible forever. It's now or never, invincible forever. You and I together, invincible.
simply beautiful and so inspiring. Thank you, Naseem. The world awaits for a light of hope. They need a hand and strength to cope. You and I together, invincible forever. And now, let's take a few moments to thank our sponsors for their support through the years. Our heartfelt gratitude to the pillars of support, our sponsors. Year on year, our exponential growth wouldn't have been possible without the gracious and generous support of our valuable sponsors Emirates NBD, Amity, PepsiCo, Thompson Music Institute, Melody Makers, Emirates Institute of Banking and Financial Studies, Tiffany, Coke, Nestle, Almarai, Masafi, and Barakat. Our proud sponsors, Emirates NBD's commitment to people with disabilities supports the My Community initiative launched by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, Crown Prince of Dubai and Chairman of Dubai Executive Council, that aims to transform Dubai to a disability-friendly city. Under his flagship advocacy program, Together Limitless, the bank has undertaken several initiatives in the past year to foster the sustainable long-term improvement and integration of people with disabilities into the community. Emirates NBT is committed to supporting a world where there are no barriers for people with disabilities to achieve the same dreams and potential as everyone. With immense gratitude in our hearts, we would like to introduce Emirates NBD through a video which highlights their commitment to support the society and creating hope.
Thank you once again. Our sponsors are a pillar of support. Poetic Heart has had the privilege of having one of the most distinguished Emirati poets, Dr. Shihab Ghanem, as our advisor, our guide, and most valued patron at every step. Proud recipient of more than 30 awards, he has published almost 75 books in Arabic and English, including 19 books of Arabic verse and 30 collections of translated verse, 13 of them from Arabic to English. Some of his poetry has been translated into 19 languages. There are more than 20 songs by various singers, including Sami Yusuf, based on his poems. The Poetic Heart is honored to welcome Dr. Shihab Ghanem and showcases collaborative works with Ms. Silvana Salmanpour, an Iranian poet, and Ms. Shumanto Banerjee, who has translated his work into Bengali. Over to you, Dr. Ghanem.
express my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee of Poets, Poetic Hearts, and Dr. Shihab Ghanem in particular for having me here this evening. My respect and regards had no boundaries since I came across Dr. Shihab Ghanem's poems for its emotions and natural expression. Once I asked him that even though your poems were translated in 19 languages, but not in Bangla, which incidentally honored you with the highest award, that is Tagore Peace Award in 2012. Why then the poetry loving people of Bengal were deprived of your poems? And Dr. Ghanem instantly responded with, "You do it." And I accepted that opportunity with both hands. I translated 25 poems into Bangla, majority of which have already been published in a reputed magazine called Ajke Sri from Kolkata, India, with high appreciation from its readers. The book titled Udbodhan is the compilation of all those translated poems in Bangla, along with English version of the original Arabic poems. This Bangla translation of Dr. Ghanem's poems are becoming the 20th language as on date. Indeed, this is the momentous moment for me as well as my mother tongue, Bangla, as this book is being launched in front of this August House. I remain grateful to Dr. Shihab Ghanem for giving me this opportunity of translation. Thank you so much.
It's a great honor, and thank you so much, Mr. Sumanta.
I would now like to request Dr. Ghanem to share his thoughts with us. We truly thank him for the amazing poetic endeavors and for being the guiding light for this poetic undertaking.
Good evening, everybody, once again. I think we are having a few teething problems with the technology, particularly sound, but this is the first time. And we have to, supposed to accept it, and hopefully the rest of the program will run smoothly like yesterday. Anyway, I just want to welcome you all again. Now I have seen my friend Niels Haaf, the famous poet from Denmark, and I welcome him. He missed our group photography and the nice meeting at the beginning, but he is welcome. I still miss also Sheikha Al-Muteri, but I hope she will join us. Anyway, I just want to have a few words to say that I'm very proud that I have been associated with the founding of Poetic Heart together with my friend Dr. Akash Ochi and Rakesh, and later with Suresh and the rest of the unbelievable SGI team who work so beautifully. And the journey we have gone through is, I think, worth it. We have given a humanistic aim for our poetic efforts. For example, we started with the aims of peace, universal harmony, justice, and environment in 2012. Actually, we coined this poetic heart from a phrase by Dr. Daisaku Akida himself. At that time, Dr. Daisaku Akida was in his early 80s. Now today he is 93, and we wish him always good health and long life. And I'm honored that he always praises me in his annual letters. So as I said, we started with peace, harmony, justice, and environment. In 2014, we added not only students to the program and music, but also we had the additional aim about mother. In 2015, we added friendship. And in 2016, we added hope. In 17, we added tolerance. In 18, we added building bridges. And in 19, we added determination. And last year, we added creating hope. And this year, we are talking about invisible spirit, which I think is suitable because we have been fighting Corona. So hopefully we'll be able to defeat this epidemic, and the humanity will go back to a better conditions, and we'll be able also to stop the wars and aggressions, and we build more justice and hope. I welcome you all, and today we are having amongst us very highly accomplished poets. Sachidanandan, for example, is one of the Nobel nominees. We have Naomi, we have Niels, we have Dr. Kees Ghanem, we have so many accomplished, and all the people with us today, the poets, are really people with big awards and accomplishment, and their poetry is highly appreciated around the world. I welcome you all, and I would like to thank again SGI team for their great efforts. Behind the scene, they are the unknown soldier who work for hours and hours for many months to get this event in one day so smooth and beautiful. So we know that we have had today some hiccups with the sound. I hope the rest of the day it will be smooth, but this is, as I said, teething problems. And I would like to thank you all. Thank you again. And I wish you an enjoyable day.
Thank you, Dr. Garnon, for your kind and motivating words of wisdom. Could we please request you to also share the book launch of Ms. Silvana Salmanpur?
Dear friends at Poetic Heart and SGI and all the viewers, it is a great pleasure for me today at this Poetic Heart number 10, this poetry gathering, beautiful gathering that has been going on for 10 successive years and has been, I think, a very successful poetry gathering. I have the pleasure today, as in previous years, we have always launched a book in every Poetic Heart meeting. Today I have the pleasure to launch a book called Khawdaj al-Asrar. It is in two languages, in Persian and in Arabic. It contains 30 poems by the well-known poet Silvana Salmanpur, one of the people who have always cherished and supported Poetic Heart. These poems I have selected, and Silvana translated from Persian into English, because I am not conversant with the Persian language, and I translated them into Arabic, and we have discussed all until we were all satisfied that these translations are good, and the book was then published by Silvana in her country in a beautiful volume, hard-covered volume. These poems are a mixture of poems. A lot of them are about love, because Silvana is basically a love poet. And she also is a humanistic poet. So many of these poems have a humanistic touch. Even one of the poems is dedicated to me and to Poetic Heart itself, because she has participated in several of these Poetic Heart sessions, conferences, and in one of them she launched a book called Amwaj, Waves, which contained a number of my poems, some of my best poems, translated by her into Persian. This was the book that was launched by her, Amwaj, Waves, And today we are going to launch the book Hawdaj al Asrar, and Silvana will be telling us more about it. Now I have the pleasure to launch the book. Thank you.
Hello, dear friends. It's my pleasure to be here with Dr. Shahab Ghanem, with all the friends of Poetic Hearts organization and committee, and all of the friends of Poetic Hearts all around the world. And also, I am proud, really, and appreciate the efforts of Dr. Shihab Ghanem, accomplished poet of UAE, who has translated some of my poems to Arabic. And as I know, he is one of my excellent dear friends since 2003, which in many of the poetic heart and other poetic gathering we was together. This book I published it in Iran in 2 languages, as Dr. told, and because I would like to introduce the cultural and literature of UAE to the Iranian, who there were a lot of law and business matters, but they don't, but not about the literature and cultural. Even I translate many poems, stories, and published the book. A translator of Dr. Shihab Ghanem that he told also. But I think it is not enough. Even in many congress and symposium of all around the world, in many universities about these things, I wrote it. So I told to my publisher to send all of this book after lunch to universities, all universities of who they have the College of Arabic Language and Literature, and also the library of all the cities, mostly in south of Iran, most the same Hormozgan and Khuzestan and Fars state, which they have good and a strong relation with here. This book, I hope it is one of really how I tell that I appreciate, because this is the first book of me that there is poem in Arabic. As much all of my book was in Persian, and I couldn't give anything to my dear friend, Arab friend. But now I have this, and appreciate again of all of the effort of Doctor and Poetic Heart. So I don't take more your time. Even anybody, everyone who like it, I can send the PDF with along the email or WhatsApp. That's all. And this is the behind the part of that poem of Hawdaj al Asrar or Kajave Raz, which Doctor translated, and we wrote just a part of that. Thank you so much, Dr. Shahab Ghanem, and all of the friends. Welcome.
Thank you once again, Dr. Ghanem, and congratulations, Ms. Tilwana Salmanpur. They say the beauty of life is an amalgamation of different experiences, emotions, and expressions, pulsating towards peace with a humane spirit on the same platform together. And at Poetic Heart, we give the whole world a platform to express their thoughts through poetry and music by overcoming all boundaries. We now have the very talented artists from Melody Makers, a well known music, dance, arts, and fine arts training center in Dubai, operating for the past 24 years. Since its inception in 1997, they have been training students in instrumental and vocal music, various formats of dances, art and craft, drama and communication, and creative writing. They prepare students for the certification examinations conducted by some of the internationally acclaimed boards like the Trinity College London, and they are one of the registered exam center for Trinity College London in Dubai. Melody Makers.
We are facing some system glitches. Please bear with us whilst we play the video.
I hope you all are enjoying the event. We
Someone melt like lemon drops. Way about the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow,
The mood couldn't have been more appropriately set, and you will now experience it for yourself in our next segment, the poetry session, as we listen to the renditions of some of the well-known poets from around the world. Naomi Shihab Nye describes herself as a wandering poet. She has spent more than 40 years traveling the country and the world to lead writing workshops and inspiring students of all ages. Nye was born to a Palestinian father and an American mother and grew up in St. Louis, Jerusalem, and San Antonio. Drawing on her Palestinian American heritage, the cultural diversity of her home in Texas, and her experiences traveling in Asia, Europe, Canada, Mexico, and the Middle East, Nye uses her writing to attest to our shared humanity. Naomi Shihab Nye is the author and editor of more than 30 volumes. Her books of poetry for adults and children include 19 Varieties of Ghazal, Poems of the Middle East, which was a finalist for the National Book Award, amongst many others of her achievements. Her new book, Everything Comes Next, is a collection of new poems. We are proud to welcome Miss Naomi Shihab Nye.
Ahlan wa sahlan, shukran iktir, this magnificent program. Happiness to be at the Poetic Heart Gathering 2021, Invincible Spirit. Thank you, Dr. Shihab Ghanem, and all of the staff and sponsors and supporters and poets who are part of this beautiful, beautiful linkage of voices from around the world. I give you all this morning the largest rose from our yard in Texas, USA, and our deepest affection. We first traveled to Dubai in 1983, where we were honored to visit with Dr. Shihab Ghanem, who so kindly welcomed us to Dubai. And we fell in love with Dubai in those days when the buildings were not so tall. Also later in love with Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and we have returned many times. And I am so happy that the Poetic Heart Festival includes the voices of children. I have had the great honor to work with children in the UAE many times on my visits. They are magnificent spirits, gorgeous poets, and as you said this morning, they will keep us all going into the future. I'm reading 4 poems from my book, The Tiny Journalist, which is dedicated to justice and to children. And it is also dedicated to the young activist. She is now 14 years old, Jana Jihad Ayad, in Palestine who began documenting what happened in her world when she was 6 and 7 years old. And the first poem is called Morning Song for Jannah in Palestine. The tiny journalist will tell us what she sees, document the moves, the dust, soldiers blocking the road. Yes, she knows how to take a picture with her phone. She holds it high like a balloon. Yes, she would prefer to dance and play. She would prefer the world to be pink. It is her job to say what she sees, what is happening. From her vantage point, everything is huge. But don't look down on her. She's bigger than you are. If you stomp her garden, each leaf expands its view. Don't hide what you do. She sees you at 2 a.m. adjusting your impenetrable vest. What could she have that you want? Her treasures, the shiny buttons her grandmother loved, her cousin, her uncle. There could have been a shirt. The tiny journalist notices action on far away roads, farther than the next village even. She takes counsel from bugs so little puffs of dust find her first. Could that be a friend? They pretended not to see us. They came at night with weapons. What was our crime? That we liked respect as you do? She stares through a hole in the fence, barricade of words and wire. She feels the rising fire before anyone strikes a match. She has a better idea. I think children always have a better idea, and their invincible spirit when many times the adults lose heart. Sometimes when I think about Palestine, I think about how the stones of the buildings have witnessed the past decades, how the flowers continue to pop up in the correct seasons, how the birds fly in, fly out, what they see. The next poem is called Moon over Gaza. It's written in the voice of the moon speaking, which of course is something poets like to do. I am lonely for my friends. They liked me, trusted my coming. I think they looked up at me more than other people do. I, who have been staring down so long, see no reason for the sorrows humans make. I dislike the scuffle and dust of bombs blasting very much. It blocks my view. A landscape of sorrow and grieving feels different afterwards. Different sheen from a simple desert. Children who say my name like a prayer. Sometimes I am bigger than a golden plate, a giant coin, and everyone gasps. Maybe it is wrong that I am so calm. In memory of my father, Aziz Shihab, thanks to him, I share the beautiful name of Dr. Shihab Ghanem. My father, on dialysis, wrote a book about Palestine called Does the Land Remember Me? He wrote it in longhand on scraps of paper as his blood filtered through the big machine. He was not afraid to watch it circulate. Nurses and aides asked him, "What are you doing?" He said, planting a garden of almonds and figs, dipping sprigs of mint into glasses of steaming tea, breathing the damp stones of my old city, pressing my mind into the soul of an olive tree. Thank you. And for all the people who have suffered illness during the past year, I dedicate that poem to what keeps their own souls and invincible spirits going. And I will close with a poem for all immigrants in our beautiful world. Sometimes we are immigrants for happy reasons. Some of us are lucky to have been travelers all our lives, but some people have a different immigration experience. They have to flee their own country, even if they don't want to. Mediterranean blue. If you are the child of a refugee, you do not sleep easily when they are crossing the sea on small rafts and you know they can't swim. My father couldn't swim either. He swam through sorrow, though, and made it to the other side on a ship, pitching his old clothes overboard at landing, then tried to be happy, make a new life. But something inside him was always paddling home, clinging to anything that floated, a story, a food, or face. They are the bravest people on earth right now. Don't dare look down on them. Each mind a universe swirling as many details as yours, as much love for a humble place. Now the shirt is torn, the sea too wide for comfort, and nowhere to receive a letter for a very long time. And if we can reach out a hand, we better. Thank you. A rose for all of you.
Thank you so much, Miss Naomi Shihab Nain, for sharing your incredible and beautiful poetry today. Ruchika, what a beautiful start to today's poetry session. Now, I look forward to our next poet, Dr. Akash K.G. Ochi. Dr. Akash K.G. Ochi is an Indian hailing from Japan and director of SGI. Since 1975, he has been part of the Indian community. He did his Bachelor's of Architecture from Musashi Institute of Technology, Japan, and completed his Master's of Rural and Urban Planning from Roorkee University, India. Later, in 1982, he did his PhD at Jawaharlal Nehru University. Dr. Ochi has been representing Dr. Daisaku Ikeda and has been narrating his poetry at the Poetic Heart since 2012. Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, born in Tokyo in 1928, is a Buddhist philosopher, peace builder, educator, author, and a poet. He is the third president of Soka Gakkai and the founding president of Soka Gakkai International. Ikeda is a staunch proponent of dialogue as the foundation of peace. Since the 1970s, he has pursued dialogue with a wide range of individuals around the world in political, cultural, educational, and academic fields. The central tenet of Ikeda's thought is the fundamental sanctity of life, a value which Ikeda sees as the key to lasting peace and human happiness. In his view, global peace relies ultimately on a self-directed transformation within the life of an individual, rather than on societal or structural reforms alone. He's a prolific writer who has over 100 works published to his credit. For his humanitarian endeavors in a range of fields, he has been conferred numerous awards, including the United Nations Peace Award. Dr. Ikeda's pursuit to promote peace through humanism over the 60 years has been recognized worldwide, for which he has received nearly 400 academic honors, the highest awarded to a single individual. Welcome, Dr. Ochi.
Thank you very much. And today I'd like to introduce Dr. Daisaku Ikeda's most popular poem called Mother. And I have taken from his book, Journey of Life, and which has a most wonderful poem from his very youthful days to the present. So, Mother, maybe I can read the beginning portion in Japanese for the Japanese audience. Maybe in later there may be someone who may listen. Then I will start in English. Title is Mother. 母よ。おお、母よ。あなたはなんと不思議な力を、なんと豊かな力を持っているのか。母よ、我が母よ、風雪に耐え抜いたかわいそうな母。悲しみの合唱を繰り返してきた。じらしき母、あなたの願いが翼となって天空に舞い来る日まで、いつまでも達者にと私は祈らずにいられない。So now English. Mother, mother, oh mother, what a richly mysterious power you possess. Mother, oh mother, your very existence potently generates understanding and harmony. You are unmatched master of conversation. Mother, mother, you are simple and persistent. You are observant and uncompromising. You are honest and obstinate. But the image of your face is the homeland of the heart for all people everywhere. Your crystal laugh brings an inexplicable sense of the ease and peace. Times without number, the seemingly contradictory fruit of your acute perceptions has brought theory, lost in the maze of abstract dispute, back to the true and focused path. No philosopher's reasoning can surpass you. The teachings of the saints are to you but variations on the theme. There may be a many who exceed you in cleverness, but only in the realm of superficial appearance and apparition. The proof of this is that those who find their way blocked never fail to heed the tones of your serene and earnest voice. There they discern the basis on which to construct once again their talents and skills. Mother was always and at all times our faithful attendant. She was a storyteller from the future, gifted singer, master performer, potent ally. 「 potent ally」 The compassionate love of mothers knows nothing of filtering language, of the high ice walls, of nationality, of the conflict and struggles of ideology. The love of mothers, like the narrow path between lush green fields, is the one emotion connecting all people everywhere. Mother, dear mother, it was heartrending to watch you persevere through the blizzards of fate. Pitiable, pitiable to see your repeated grief beseeching. I'm compelled to pray for your lasting health, that you may live to see the day when your hopes and the prayers take wing and rise, soaring into the skies. Mother, mothers, never permit the power of your gentle love to be isolated, cut off from others. Around the blind, unthinking love, the shadows of unhappiness will gather. Only the love of compassionate mothers link in solidarity with a purpose and reason will set the crucial transforming point of light in an otherwise miserable and barbaric future. This patient labor of igniting lights is the only real means to defend the sanctity of life against the assault of the world. The history of women has been darkened by torment, extinguished smiles, and pained, despairing tears. Time has now come to relegate that history to an ancient fossil past. From today, with the wisdom and the philosophy that you yourself have gained through your self transformation, bring the sought for sun to your home and family. Your clear and cheerful voice in song to the contrict, constricted gloom of society in easy performance, an unmatched variance of your songs of peace to a world that yearns for spring. When this sustained and energetic cadence reaches and refreshes the distant shore with vibrant waves of light, you, mother, will preside forever over an era of humanity revived and restored. Thank you for listening. And I would like to share the short poems of the Dr. Ikeda. First one is titled To My Young Friends. I hear people say that they don't fear death. I don't want to become such a person. For it is the fear of the death that deepens our joy in living and demarcate civilizations from barbarity. Another one is days of value. If you desire a peaceful death at the final accounting of your life, live each and every day with enthusiasm. Make everything that happens an opportunity to open and expand your state of life. Exert yourself to the fullest in the place where you are right now. Another poem, this is also titled The Days of Value. If the spring is a symbol of vibrant energy, fall is the season of intellect. If the summer is a time of the passionate wild dance, winter is the season of discipline training. Thus, I have decided to pursue my own path through each of the seasons to realize a life of limitless value. Last one, very short. If you lose today, win tomorrow. To struggle without cease, is to possess the heart of victor. Thank you very much. So I was very happy to be able to see the many poets who has been associating with the Poetic Heart Connecting Humanity for last 10 years, a decade. And we can feel that by looking and by meeting with all of them, we are really like a family. And today I was very excited to see 3 Ganems, and which was not expected, but it's wonderful. And I think all of us are the family of Poetic Heart. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ochi, we are so grateful to you for sharing Dr. Ikeda's most inspiring poetry with us. During these unprecedented times, his poetry really invigorates our spirits and truly reminds us of being invincible no matter what. Now, Professor Francesca Maria Corral is a professor of Arabic language and culture at the Luis University in Italy, Rome. She is a PhD in Islamic studies. Francesca has been teaching and participating in seminars and congresses in the Arab world and in Europe. She has authored several books, poetry, published many articles, and continues to inspire people to broaden their horizons to the world encompassing of peace, culture, and harmony. She is a member of the Union Europeenne des Arabisans et Islamisans, the European Association of Modern Arabic Literature Teachers, the Institute of Oriental Philosophy of the Soka University in Tokyo, the Center of Studies on Mediterranean Culture of the Universitat Oriente. Francesca is also the president of the scientific committee of the Fondazione Oristiadi. The main focus of her scholarly activity is on Arabic, Islamic history and literature, Mediterranean studies. Welcome to the Poetic Heart, Professor Francesca Maria Corral.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. I am really honored to be again with you. And I do thank Mr. Ochi, Mr. Rakesh, Mr. Suresh, and Dr. Shihab Dhanem, very dear old friend, and all the friends like Gita and Silvana, with whom we shared beautiful moments. And it is fantastic for me to be back with you again. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do dedicate these poems to the Poetic Heart Festival and to my mentor, Professor Daisaku Ikeda. And so I will read it in Italian and you can read it in English. Vento d'autunno travolge l'inverno, l'avvolge, furioso fuoco d'inferno. Un caldo afoso che resta da giugno, non lo fermate col solo mugugno. Polvere piove dal rosso deserto, grandine a sassi dal tetto scoperto. Now the next. A dicembre un mondo di pene, chi scappa via e chi si astiene. Niente mancia né un balocco, rimane secco pure lo sciocco, ma tutti esultino e impenitenti, fingono di essere lieti e contenti. The next. In questi tempi grevi, i bei momenti brevi, di gioia e di letizia li scaccia la mestizia. Sola virtù che resta, sogni di carta pesta. Okay, next. In a world without fantasy. In un mondo senza fantasia, pure le fate sono andate via. Pare che si siano arrabbiate, hanno chiuso bottega e se ne sono andate, stanche di baggianate false e vuote risate. Ora che sono andate via, dite pure ogni fesseria, ma non vi inventerete di averle implorate. Le avete dimenticate, sepolte e cancellate. Piangete pure se volete, ma ora non le troverete. Quelle lì non le incantate, solo un sorriso di cuore cancellerà il loro malumore. Change page. Once you forgot them, you will not find them. You'll not enchant them. Just a heartfelt smile will erase the bitter bile. So we can change to November's come now. Thank you. Bufera che s'avvera, l'aria cupa s'annera. A dicembre si spera che arrivi primavera. Non ti dico l'estate, solo storie bruciate. Last poem. This is dedicated to my cousin who had a cancer, but now is fine. Thank you very much. It's just the memory of what he went through. Ora tocca a Renzo e mi chiedo e penso quale sarà il senso di sopportare dolore per l'orrido malore. Siamo tutti in attesa, ogni speranza pesa. T'arrampichi sui vetri, si squarcia la ferita, sanguinano le dita, metafora infinita per dire che la vita si batte per la vita, si ottiene dalla vita, perciò va rivissuta. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What powerful words! Professor Francesca's poem and her life achievements portrayed the true value of human spirit. Thank you so much, Professor Francesca. Now we have our next poet, Dr. Kees Ghanem, who was born in Yemen and moved to Canada 37 years ago. He's a neurologist, medical teacher, published poet, novelist, peace organizer, and creator presenter of a very popular weekly Canadian radio show, Dialogue with Diversity. Currently, he is on the faculty of University of Ottawa, practicing medicine at the Ottawa Hospital, where he is the director of the Sleep Center. And at the National Defense Medical Center, he is the director of neurophysiology and sleep laboratory. He has over 20 medical publications to his credit, and his personal motto is SCSC, which stands for Stop Complaining, Start Contributing. He's proficient in Arabic, English, French, and Italian. Breaking down barriers and removing differences is the same way for Dr. K.S. Ghanem as the way of being a good human being. He's a strong propagator of equality in the world, and we must treat each other with complete respect. Welcome to Poetic Heart, Dr. K.S. Ghanem. Over to you.
Yeah, that's better. Unmuted. Well, thank you very much for that great introduction. Can everybody hear me? Yes. As Dr. Shihab said, Poetic Heart is a humanistic organization. And that's why I am so much part of this movement. When I went to Canada, actually it was closer to 50 years ago, I got involved in all sorts of activities to do with human rights and conversations between different groups of people. Like our friend Naomi may be interested that I formed a dialogue group between Jews and Arabs in the capital of Canada, and they used to meet at my house and so on. So breaking barriers for me is a very, very important thing. And I've done so much of it that, in fact, I got some medals from the mayor of the city of Ottawa for the work that I've done. But I have two poems here. The first one is in English. The other one will be in Arabic. Sharing and Caring is the title that I gave to the English one. Is there a problem with the sound? No. Everything's okay. Yeah. As I look at the folk next door with little children, 3 or 4, sleeping rough on that cold floor, where some need help and some need more. I wonder how they ever cope. Have they reached the end of the rope? Do they perhaps look up to the Pope, looking for help, seeking some hope? I hear their cries and feeble screams. So late they stop, or so it seems, but no one laughs or ever beams a happy smile or happy dreams. But where are those who offer aid? Have they yet given or ever paid a tiny chink of what they made to those who starve before they fade? For peace is not the absence of war. Peace is also when we make sure that children drink their water pure, and we can find for COVID a cure. Is it their fault that they are bereft of the basics of life and then are left to the mercy of those who just might lift a finger with a bun or a tiny gift? Let us reflect and let us think that while some wear expensive mink, there are those who can't find a drink or a mattress where their bones can sink. whether we believe in God or not. Whether we believe in God or not, and whether our climate is cool or hot, let's give a little and care a lot. Let's make an effort to share that pot. And I'm going to do this in Arabic. I wonder how many people will understand me, follow me. Yeah. It's actually a little bit embarrassing for my slightly younger brother, Shihab, because he got to 80 last October, and I'm only a year older than he is, so I had to kind of write a little poem about him for Poetic Heart. And it goes like this. ارفع الرأس يا شهاب فإني باسمك اليوم صارخ وفخور بشقيق وشاعر وأديب اسمه اليوم في الملا مشهور يرسل اللحية الأنيقة دوما إذ بها الوجه خاشع ووقور في الثمانين بات بدرا مضيئا حوله الشهب في السماء تدور تسمع الشعر من شفاه أديب ذا عصيتا ولم يصبه الغروب اجتمعنا على القوافي ولكن فرقتنا سنيننا والشهور كم تمنيت أن تكون قريبا يوم ضاقت من الفراق الصدور يوم ولى من الحياة عصام حين ولى ذراعنا المبتور يوم قاسيت من صروف الليالي حين سالت من اليراع سطور تصف الخوف والشجون بقلب أثقلته مخاوف وشرور بات من كثرة الهموم حزينا ليس تلهيه بسمة أو ثغور أو كؤوس بخمرها مترعات حين لا تنفع الحزين الخمور قم ودعنا نحيك شطرا وبيتا عطرته الورود ثم الزهور كي نحيي من أسكرته القوافي إنما الشعر لوحة وعطور تملأ الأنف ياسمينا ووردا إذ بها الحب والهنا والسرور قم أعني لكي نغني سويا أنت في العرب بلبل شحرور قبل أن نلتقي بقرب عصام حيث لا تسمع الغناء القبور. Thank you.
What a beautiful poem, sharing and caring. Thank you so much, Dr. Shihab Khanim. We absolutely enjoyed your poetry. And now, let's spare a moment for one of our esteemed sponsors, Amity. apologies. The earlier poem was shared by Dr. K.S. Ghanen. Music and rhythm find their way into the secret spaces of the soul.
Yes, it's now time for some beautiful music to fill up our souls. Hold your breaths as we have Dev and Sucheta Satish with an enthralling performance.
Mr. Dev Chakrabarti is an accomplished vocalist, composer, music coach, and talent groomer from Dubai, originally from Kolkata, India. Mr. Dev has had extensive training in Indian classical music from an early age under many notable musical gurus across India. He has performed as a co-singer alongside many Bollywood singers and musicians. His wide range of live performances and recording sessions in semi-classical, ghazal, Sufi, folk, and devotional genres of music are highly acclaimed by audiences throughout India and the UAE. Dave has collaborated with very eminent and celebrated poet of UAE, Dr. Shihab Ghanem, and has composed and directed music for his poems that were written on the love of the UAE in Arabic.
We also have Ms. Sucheta Satish with us, who is a student of the Indian High School. She has the unique ability to sing in multiple languages. She's a recipient of Sheikh Hamdan Award for Academic Excellence and is also an excellent dancer and a spelling bee champion. She sang in 102 languages, including 25 Indian and 77 foreign languages, over 6 hours and 15 minutes in a concert titled Music Beyond Boundaries. Her first foreign language song was in Japanese. The record was adjudicated by the World Record Academy based in Miami, USA. Over to Dev and Sucheta Satish for their magical performance.
وصلي أمجد أمس بغدي أنت أهل للعلا والسدد وسأحميك بصدري ويدي يا عبارات ترقي واصعدي أنت أرض حبة منها زايد يجمع السابع فنعم القاعد رائد ماء كمام رائد أنت أهل للعلا والسدد وسأحميك بصدري ويدي يا عبارات ترقي واصعدي أنت وجه رائع للعربي مشرق في مشرق أو مغربي ينشر الخير لمن في نصبي أنت أهل للعلا والسدد وسأحميك بصدري ويدي يا عبارات ترقي واصعدي أهل للعلا والسداد وسأحميك بصدري ويدي يا عمارات ترقي واصعدي يا عمارات ترقي واصعدي يا عمارات ترقي واصعدي.
Do you clap again? Let's give a round of applause for that captivating performance. And now, let's get back to poetry. As said by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, best words in the best order. We now have a round of recitations by renowned poets from across the globe. Niels Haff. Niels Haff is a Danish poet, the author of 7 collections of poetry and 3 books of short fiction. His books have been translated into Portuguese, Arabic, Turkish, Dutch, English, and Farsi, and his poems and stories have been published in a large number of journals, magazines, and newspapers in different countries of the world. He has traveled widely across Europe, Asia, Africa, North and South America. We are extremely happy to have Niels Haff with us today. Welcome, Niels Haff.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to once again be a member of the Poetic Heart family. I hope you all can hear what I say here, right? I remember our fine days last year in Dubai. I miss you all. And it's happy this afternoon to hear your voice and see your good faces. I am happy to see you survived. You look good. 2021 is a very special year. So this year we all are rested at home, but we are alive. That's a great thing. I'll read 4 poems for you. The first one is about my pen. It's called My Fantastic Pen. I prefer writing with a used pen found in the street or with a promotional pen, gladly one from the electricians, the gas station, or the bank. Not just because they're cheap, but I imagine such an implement will fuse my writing with industry, the sweat of skilled laborers, administrative office, and the mystery of all existence. Once I wrote meticulous poems with a fountain pen, pure poetry about purely nothing. But now I like shit on my paper, tears and snot. Poetry is not for sisters. A poem must be just as honest as the Dow Jones Index, a mixture of reality and sheer bluff. What has one grown too sensitive for? Not much. That's why I keep my eye on the bond market and serious pieces of paper. The stock exchange belongs to reality, just like poetry. And that's why I'm so happy about this ballpoint pen from the bank, which I found one dark night in front of a closed convenience store. It smells faintly of dog piss, and it writes fantastically. The poem. Don't you put the poem in a headlock. You are on the rest. The poem won't obey orders. The poem doesn't do well in isolation cells. The poem rambles around in suburbs, rambles through other people's trash. It packs a gun. The poem distrusts the law and the court, yet trusts in a higher justice. The poem gets into arguments with any old passers-by, making wild accusations, show no respects, smells badly, shit and roses. The poem happily waits in line for a thunderstorm. The poem spends the night in solitude and wild ecstasy. The poem hangs around in airports and on board overcrowded ferries. The poem is largely political, but hates politics. The poem is contagious, but speaks only on rare occasions. The poem spoils the party. The poem is ready to take off its jacket and meet you outside. The poem got a case of your tears. Something has happened. We want to leave traces in words, but language is no private invention. To love, to be abandoned, to discover the clock that counts the seconds inside the body, the pain in the light, fury, helpless grief. Language knows all that. What then is my own? Is it possible to gain personal experience and attach words to it that are not simply conventional? To make an addition. Something has happened, something big, yet I cannot explain what it is. Assassins betray themselves. I must admit my embarrassment and listen to the words reproducing with reality everywhere. And finally, I'll take you to China, to the Great Wall. With Charlie Chaplin in Yulin. It is said that the Great Wall of China can be seen from the moon. That's complicated and expensive to verify. But it is for sure that the moon can be seen from the Great Wall. When Charlie Chaplin meets Genghis Khan someday in Yulin, they can stand on the Great Wall or in the watchtower, studying the moon as they exchange values. The greatest happiness is to triumph over your enemies, rob them, and take their wives and daughters in your arms, says Genghis Khan. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor, Chaplin replies. That's not my business. I want to live by the others' happiness. When the moon is a metaphor for love and longing, the Great Wall is a metaphor for the empire builders' powerlessness. All empires great to an end. Today, Genghis Khan is a Mongolian barbecue, and Charlie Chaplin is dead. God created this world with a good sense of humor. Most of our glorious history is just a big joke. So let's not forget how to laugh. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, what a great depth of thought Mr. Niels has. Very well narrated. Now we have with us a very eminent poetess, Ms. Geeta Chabra, who has worked and has translated into Arabic language by the legendary poet Dr. Shihab Ghanem. Her translated poems have been published in reputed Arabic newspapers and journals. After the success of her first two books, her most recent book, Smash My Glass, showcases her latest poems expressing her views on war, peace, and poverty. Being a blogger in 2012, she received the Poets Printry International Best Poetry Website Award for creativity and new age poetry for her website. In 2013, 2014, and 2015, she felt immensely rewarded, not only as a poet, but also as an Indian, when she was invited to Zabil Palace, Dubai, to present her works to His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. In January 2017, She was amongst the Super 100 Indian Women Achievers in the Middle East and Africa, featured in Grey Matters Leadership Profile of Super Series Volume 2. We welcome you to the Poetic Heart, Ms. Geeta Chabra. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Greetings from Mumbai. What a pleasure to see Shihab, Dr. Uchi, Kes. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Aditya. I'm remembering Rakesh very nostalgically. It's a very nice evening after a very long time. In this pandemic time, I must tell you that I have not stepped out of the house. I've not even seen my children. They just waved me from my balcony. I waved to them. Well, we are, as somebody said, we are intact and it's great. Poetic Heart is needed now even more than before. For every one of us, the pandemic has what should I say? I think it has evolved people. That's been the better side of the pandemic. And probably some of us have become more courageous. We have got the chance to look inward. Coming back to the theme of this evening of Poetic Heart, which is Invincible Spirit. In these COVID times, we have all gone through a process where we've emerged with invincible spirit, dedicated to the theme and dedicated to SGI, to everybody, to all the poets all over the world. I'm going to recite the poem. The caption of my poem is, In This Spirit. I am looking for a candle to light up the sky. I'm a wanderer, wandering in the growing darkness, tears in my blazing eyes. How will it be then? The sky is so bleak and gray. The horizon, which is a dot in the uncertain distance. Will it be a sight of daybreak? I have never tried before lighting up the sky with just a candle. In the unruffled glow, I hope to find serenity. There is life in my silence. There is meaning to my grief. I am destined to live in a newer world. Shall I ever find it? The sun took away my head for vagrant offerings against many scattered lies. I hear the sound of the hour. I read the writing on the wall. Now I'm looking for a candle to light up the sky. So thought I, wandering in the growing darkness, tears in my blazing eyes. Thank you. My second poem is thanking my master. To understand my oneness with God Almighty is to know completely that the invincible spirit in me can never diminish or ebb. Is the sound okay? Can you hear, please? So this poem is also dedicated to all the beautiful poets and the STI team of Poetic Heart, and to Dr. Daisaku. Thanking my master. Beyond my wildest dreams, Lord, you gave me the strength to venture out in this crowded world where most things are upside down. My Lord, you bestowed the skill upon me to survive. In this crowded world, where most things are upside down, where mayhem is central to my experience, my master, you gifted me with invincible spirit to say, I am intact. I am intact with the desire to live. Thank you. My third and last poem is Lockdown Zone, which I have translated into the Hindi language. The English version is in front of you, which is, in lockdown zone, as a new day approaches, I'm not the same person. I think it is a good omen. तो इसका हिंदी में जो ट्रांसलेशन मैंने की है, मैंने कहा है, उसका शीर्षक है लॉकडाउन क्षेत्र में जैसे ही एक नया दिन आता है, मैं वैसे ही वो नहीं हूं जो मैं थी। मुझे लगता है ये एक अच्छा शगुन है। ये कविता मैंने 16 अप्रैल पिछले साल लिखी थी। उस समय लॉकडाउन जो था तो एकदम मजबूती से अपना छाया लेके बैठा हुआ था। So this poem that I wrote was in April last year. We were in the absolute grip of pandemic in Mumbai. We didn't know what was coming or going. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Truly inspired by your positive outlook, Ms. Geeta Chhabra. We can really feel the warmth and compassion in your poetry. And now, Mr. Shumanto Banerjee, born in 1953 in Samastipur, Bihar, India, is a qualified chartered accountant and was working as a CFO in Dubai for the last 15 years. His passion for creative literature is inbuilt from his childhood. He has enjoyed the association with many great writers from Bengal, including the Gyanpith Awardee, the highest award in literature in India, late Srimati Ashapurna Devi and late Shri Vibhuti Bhushan Mukhopadhyay. Mr. Banerjee had been writing on various topics related to human aspects, apart from writing travelogues, poetry, essays on various aspects of our daily lives, short stories, poetry, and poetry translations in Bangla from other languages like Arabic. His work has been published in various papers and magazines, mainly in Bengali, from the city of Joy, Kolkata, India. His travelogue in Bangla, Pe Pai Agaroti Desher Barota Golpo, released in 2019. A poetry translation from Arabic to Bangla, Udbodhan, was published in 2020, and 3 more books are in the pipeline to be published in 2021. Of late, Mr. Shumanto Banerjee found his expression more appealing in travelogue writing, as he loves to travel, meet people, see nature, and learn different cultures across the globe. Welcome to Poetic Heart, Mr. Banerjee. Over to you now.
Very good evening. I hope you all can hear me. Okay. Very good evening to you all. I'm really thrilled to participate and present my thoughts once again. In the modern history, we have passed through a landmark year, that is 2020. Rather, still passing through the pandemic. You all will agree with me, the one single realization that has stopped everything above is the realization that no matter how strong, how brave, how popular we are, we cannot be above nature. Based on this realization, my first poem being initiated with the title Virus. I'm going to recite in Bangla, which you can read through the English version of the same. রাষ্ট্রের সীমানা ভাঙল, যুদ্ধের দামামা ভাঙল, আতঙ্কের বন্দুক দাঁড়ালো থমকে, রইল না কোনো বিভেদ গরিব বড়লোকের, আলিঙ্গন ও চুম্বনের জায়গা নিল মর্যাদার আচরণ, হাসপাতালের মাহাত্ম্য স্থাপিত হলো ক্লাব, স্টেডিয়াম, পাব, হোটেল, মল ও বাজারের উপর, অর্থশাস্ত্রের উপর জায়গা নিল চিকিৎসা শাস্ত্র, একটা ইঞ্জেকশন, একটা থার্মোমিটার হয়ে উঠল ট্যাঙ্ক ও মিসাইলের থেকেও বেশি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। বন্ধ হলো মন্দির, বন্ধ হলো চার্চ, বন্ধ হলো দরগা, হচ্ছে পুজোর অর্চনা আজ হৃদয়েতে রেখে প্রভুর। ধর্মের জায়গা নিল আধ্যাত্মা, ভিড়ে হারিয়ে যাওয়া মানুষগুলো ফিরে এলো আবার নিজের পরিবারে। কি আকুল আবেদন, কি আকুল মিনতি, ভ্যাকসিন ভ্যাকসিন, এই যাত্রায় বেঁচে যাওয়ার। অবাক হয়ে চলে বেড়ায় পশু পক্ষীরা জলস্থলে, বাতাসে আজ নেই কোনো ঝাঁজ, শুধুমাত্র একটা ভাইরাস। হ্যাঁ, একটা ভাইরাস এনে দিল প্রকৃতির জয় মানুষের প্রবৃত্তির ওপর। My next poem, a different expression, is to share love, which will come back again to you. A conversation titled Se Bolle. Conversation between two, bringing out how the love can come back, what you share. সে বললে, অকারণে এত খুশি কেন? আমি বললাম, সব সময় দুঃখী বা থাকি কেন? সে বললে, দেখো জীবনে আছে দুঃখ অনেক। আমি বললাম, লক্ষ্য করে দেখো জীবনে সুখও আছে অনেক। সে কটাক্ষ করে, বেশি হেসো না, নজর লেগে যাবে। আমিও ওই আর কি করি, হাসি মুখে আছি, ফিসলে যাবে সবই। সে জিজ্ঞেস করে, টেনশন হয় না কখনো? আমি শুধাই, এমন তো বলিনি কখনো। সে অবাক হয়ে বলে, তবুও সেই হাসি। বললাম, অভ্যেস করে নিয়েছি সবসময় হাসি মুখে থাকার। সে আবার কটাক্ষ করে, আচ্ছা সাজানো হাসি, তবে চিন্তা তাই যায় না দেখা। আমি বললাম, অটুট বিশ্বাস আছে, ঈশ্বর আছেন সঙ্গে, সাহস কোথায় টেনশন বা চিন্তার? কেউ আমার কাছে আমি দুঃখী শোনার জন্য উদ্গ্রীব ছিল, তাই বেহিসেব ছিল প্রশ্নের ধারাবাহিকতা। সে প্রশ্ন করে, কখনো তো আসে চোখে জল? বললাম, নিজের হাসি দিয়ে বেঁধেনি বাঁধ, আর যদি পরে কম হাসায় আরো কিছু লোককে, জাগায় আশার আলো ভ্রষ্ট কিছু জীবনে। এ হাসি হলো আশীর্বাদ সেই সমস্ত মানুষের যাদের কাছে বিলিয়েছিলাম আমার হাসি, যখন দেওয়ার মতো মোটেও ছিল না যথেষ্ট আমার কাছে। Now, I am going to recite two translated poems of Dr. Shihab Ghanem in Bangla from the book Udbodhan, which is just inaugurated or launched a while ago in this event. The first poem, titled in English version of the Arabic language, Arabic poetry, I Language. I Language. And the Bangla version title is Chokher Bhasha. Chokher Bhasha. চোখে চোখ হতেই তার সাথে হৃদয় হলো বিহঙ্গ আমার, লাজুক হলো তার চোখ মুখ, গাল হলো তার আবেগে পরিপূর্ণ। চোখের পাতাগুলো যেন গভীর কালো চাবুকের মতো তার উচ্ছল চোখের ওপর। হৃদয় আমার যেন ফেটে পড়ছে পাঁজরের বিরুদ্ধে, লজ্জায় আমিও তাকাই অন্যদিকে। বলতে পারিনি যা চেয়েছিলাম বলতে তাকে, সে পাশ দিয়ে চলে যায় বিনা কোনো কথায়। সমস্ত বাতাস তবু যেন ভরে ওঠে নিস্তব্ধতায়, যেন এক দীর্ঘ বক্তৃতায়। And I will close with the last poem, Bangla translated poem of Dr. Shihab Ghanem, where he expressed his emotions or reactions so immaculately when he was missing his toddler son while he was in England. And the Bangla title, Dighir Pare, the English title was By the Lake, the English translation of the Arabic. Bangla title is Dighir Pare. প্রতিবারই যখন আমার গাড়িতে ওই দিঘির ধার দিয়ে দিয়ে যাই, যেখানে সাঁতরে বেড়ায় হাঁসেরা জলেতে, গাছগাছালির মাঝে ঝুলতে থাকে বাচ্চারা দোলায়, ফুলবাগানের মধ্যে, কিংবা দৌড়ে বেড়ায় আনন্দে ঘাসের মধ্যে, আকাঙ্ক্ষার ফানুষগুলো যেন গ্রাস করতে থাকে আমায়। স্মৃতির চলচ্চিত্র হয় শুরু দৃষ্টির প্রেক্ষাপটে। আবার আনন্দে উদ্বেল তোমার আগ্রহী মুখ ফিরে আসে যেন চারিদিক থেকে। ছোট্ট হাত মুঠোয় রুটির টুকরোগুলো ফেলতে থাকো জলে, আর যেই না যাও হাঁসের দিকে ধরতে, চিৎকার করে ওঠে তোমার মিষ্টি সুর, পাপা কুকু, পাপা কুকু। প্রতিধ্বনি উঠতে থাকে অনর্গল, ঠিক যেন পাখিদের দুর্বোধ্য ভাষা। ছুট দাও জলের দিকে, হাঁসের দিকে, ধরে ফেলি দৌড়ে তোমাকে। ছোট্ট ছোট্ট শরীরটাকে হাতের মুঠোয় পেতেই আমি জড়িয়ে ধরি, আদর করি, চুমু যে খাই। প্রতিবাদ করে হাঁসকে দেখাও, পাপা কুকু, পাপা কুকু। ও ওয়াজেদ, তুমি যদি শুধু বুঝতে পেতে এই চাওয়ার আকুলতাকে, তুমি যদি বুঝতে পেতে জ্বালার পাগলামিকে, ভালোবাসা থেকে বিচ্ছেদের। Thank you so much.
Wow, with the joy that you narrated your poetry today, we are in complete resonance with you. Thank you so much. Now, coming up next is Professor Angelica Santa Olaya. She was born in Mexico City in 1962. She holds a bachelor's degree in journalism and collective communication. She further holds a master's degree in history and ethnohistory with a scholarship by CONOCYT. Professor Olaya has pursued her graduation in writing from the General Society of Mexican Writers. She is part of the Catalogue of Mexican Writers of the National Institute of the Fine Arts. She has worked in radio, television, and written press. She was also part of a group of independent drama and theater and studied painting. Angelica won the first place in two short story and children's story contest in Mexico and second place in the 5th International Poetry Contest, Victoria Sompre 2008, Entre Rios, Argentina. She has been published in several Latin American and Ibero-American story, poetry and theater anthologies, as well as in several national and international diaries and magazines in the American continent, Europe, and the Middle East. A very warm welcome to you, Professor Angelica Santa Olaya. The floor is now yours.
Do you hear me and see me? Yes? Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to say thanks. Thanks so much to all people who make possible this beautiful poetry festival. Thanks for inviting me to be here for the second time representing to Mexico, especially to my dear friend, Dr. Shihab Ghanem. I am very, very happy to be here, insisting to look for the world peace with my words. Thank you so much. It's an honor. From the book, Play Rumor, the poem Creation. And so, God gave man 2 stars to light up the stones, a nose to find the child's home, a tongue to savor apples, 2 feet to reach others, and 10 fingers to console them. With those fingers, man pierced the earth's womb and planted the seed, manufactured bread, took it to his mouth and created a bowl to drink from. He built a house and a chair. One day, he forgot about the furrow and ate the loaf that his fingers did not manufacture in order to defend the chair. He sharpened the steel, and another day, with the very hand that blessed his offspring, he slayed his brother. Blood and gold shine blinded his eyes, and man was not able to see that his God and himself, they were among those bones. Now in Spanish. La creación. Y Dios le regaló al hombre 2 faros para alumbrar las piedras, una nariz para encontrar el hogar del hijo, una lengua para saborear manzanas, 2 pies para llegar a los otros y 10 dedos para consolarlos. Con esos dedos, el hombre horadó el vientre de la tierra y sembró la semilla, fabricó el pan, lo llevó a su boca y formó un cuenco para beber. Construyó una casa y una silla, y un día se olvidó del surco y comió la hogaza que sus dedos no moldearon. Para defender la silla, afiló el metal y otro día, con la mano que bendijo al crío, mató a su hermano. La sangre y el brillo del oro cegaron sus ojos, y el hombre no pudo ver que su Dios y él mismo estaban en aquellos huesos. Next poem. It's necessary. It's necessary a wall that could hold the first steps, a corner in which to measure dreams, a first aid kit full of antiseptics to heal wounds in knees and hearts, a firm ground on which to rebuild pride, the door that could separate tears from oblivion, and that knows the precise instant of yielding, a kitchen with a bowl of soup waiting to soak the reluctance of going back from work, a large living room that hugs friends, and on wrinkles to scare, to dance, to sing, and fix the world with 2 tequilas and 3 songs that refresh the soul. A window where a tree could live. To wait by every day for the eyes that unwave fatigue. A garden that could house a fig tree embroidered with verse to read poetry under its shade. A clean and well-lit room, a soft bed, and an armchair by the window to remember the wall that held our first steps and the corner where we used to measure dreams. The last poem of the book, Legend, it could be. It could be that at any instant the hearts turn red, that the bite and weep will dissolve between the warm chords of a guitar, that kisses fly towards old walls, and each man will take only what belongs to him, what has been given to him by own will, without the sour flavor of violence, nor the acid taste of mercy, what each one has earned, with the love of every day, or with the sweat of its kisses. What belongs to each one and nothing else. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We are simply in awe in the way you feel about nature and humanity, Miss Angelica. It's really inspiring. And now, our heartfelt gratitude to the pillars of support, our sponsors. Year on year, our exponential growth wouldn't have been possible without the gracious and generous support from Emirates NBD, Amity, PepsiCo, Thomson Music Institute, Melody Makers, Emirates Institute of Banking and Financial Studies, Tiffany, Coke, Nestle, Almarai, Masafi, and Barakat. Now it's time for another musical interlude. A Jordanian born in Kuwait from very artistic parents Kamal Musallam showed unique talents for drawing and playing music from the early age of 3. He holds a Bachelor's of Architecture and a Master's in Design Management. After 3 years of work as an architect, Kamal left architecture to follow his passion in the music world. He is a voting member of the Recording Academy, the Grammys, since 2008. At present, he settled in Dubai as performer and producer under his own label, K&G. His active bands are Kamal Musallam Group, Kamal Musallam Trio, and East Mania. Musallam is presently playing a new hybrid of guitar and oud called the multi-oud, created by Gordon. He has developed with Ibanez guitars signature designs of the quarter-fretted Oriental guitar models.
Joining him is a versatile pianist in both solo and collaborative repertoire. Sonor Sotoudeh has been performing and collaborating with well-known musicians, artists, orchestras around the world. Sonor Sotoudeh has completed both her Bachelor's of Music and Master's of Music in solo piano performance at the McGill University in Canada. She's currently based in Vancouver and works as a collaborative pianist at the Schulich School of Music, McGill University. She has been hailed by industry critics as a pianist who combines confidence with astute pianism in all her work. We are proud to present to you the world-renowned pianist Sonor Sotoudeh and virtuoso Kamal Musallam.
Thank you so much, Kamal and Sunaz, for a scintillating performance. As we are reinvigorated yet again, we come to the last segment of Poets for the Day. Professor K. Sachidanandan has done an MA PhD in English. He was a professor of English and Translation Studies, an editor at the Indian Literature Bimonthly published by the National Academy of Letters in India, and later its executive chief. He has been on many national and international juries for literary awards. He has read and lectured in 40 countries. He has written more than 100 books, including translations, and his writings have been published in around 100 papers in seminars around the world. He writes poetry, fiction, plays, travelogues, and is a critic writer as well as in Malayalam, prose in English and Malayalam. He has 24 books of original poetry, 34 collections of poetry in 18 languages, including Arabic, English, Irish, Chinese, Japanese, French, German, and Italian. Has 25 books of essays in Malayalam and 7 in English. Has edited 6 literary journals. Professor Sachidanandan has won 54 awards, including the India Poland Friendship Medal from Poland, Fellow of Kerala Sahitya Academy, literary associations in Orissa, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Delhi, National Academy Award and Poetry for Peace World Prize from UAE, Dante Medal from Dante Institute Ravenna, Italy, and a knighthood from the government of Italy. Welcome, Professor K. Sachidanandan.
Hello. I'm happy to be back at the Poetic Heart after a brief interval. I have been here, I believe, at least twice before, and I'm extremely happy to meet some of my poetic friends, including Sumanto, who keeps sending me a good morning every day, and all the other whom I have met earlier in different poetry meets. So I thank Shihab, of course, who has been a long time friend, whom I have translated. I thank all the organizers of the festival Poetic Heart, and I'm happy that at least virtually I'm able to take part this time in this beautiful gathering, and I should thank all the other poets who read so beautifully and all the musicians who made the evening so melodious and so extremely enchanting. I write poetry mainly in Malayalam, so I'll begin with a poem in Malayalam, whose English transition I hope will be there on the screen, and then I'll read two in English. ഒരു ചെറിയ വസന്തം ഒരു ചെറിയ വസന്തം ഒരളുക്കിൽ ഒതുക്കാവുന്നത് അഥവാ ഒരു കൃഷ്ണമണിയിൽ അത്രമേൽ തീക്ഷ്ണമായിരുന്നു അതിന്റെ നിറങ്ങളും മണങ്ങളും നീണ്ടു നിൽക്കാൻ കഴിയുമായിരുന്നില്ല ചില കൗമാര പ്രണയങ്ങൾ പോലെ ഒരു ചെറിയ വസന്തം ഹേമന്തം വന്നതറിയാതെ തെറ്റിപ്പൂത്ത വാഗമരം പോലെ അത് ഇത്ര വേഗം പോയോ എന്ന് കാറ്റിനോട് ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു ഒരു ചാറ്റൽ മഴ മാത്രമായിരുന്നു മറുപടി അതിൽ ചില ഇതളുകൾ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ആയുസിന്റെ കണക്ക് പുസ്തകത്തിൽ ദൈവം സൂക്ഷിച്ചു വെച്ചിരുന്നത് ഉണങ്ങി ചുളുങ്ങാൻ തുടങ്ങിയിരുന്നതിനാൽ ലിപി വായിക്കാനായില്ല ഒരു ചെറിയ വസാൾ പൊള്ളിക്കുന്നത് ആനന്ദം കൊണ്ട് നീറുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഉമ്മ വയ്ക്കുന്നത് നിർത്തി ഇറുകിയ കറുത്ത ഉടുപ്പിട്ട ഏകാന്തതയെ ഒഴികെ ഞാൻ ജനൽ മലർക്ക തുറന്നിടുന്നു തൂവിപ്പോയ വീഞ്ഞ് എന്നെ എടുത്തുയർത്തു എന്ന ആവേശത്തോടെ പറഞ്ഞ് കൊപ്പയിലേക്ക് തിരിച്ചു വരും പോലെ അതെങ്ങാൻ തിരിച്ചു വന്നാലോ ഒരു ചെറിയ വസന്തം ഒരാന്തൽ എന്റെ ചുണ്ടുകൾ തരിക്കുന്നു. Cheers. I'm afraid the letters were not very clear on the screen, so I thought I would also read it in English. This was written during these COVID days, during the lockdown. A small spring that a casket can contain, or the pupil of an eye. So intense were its colors and odors, it couldn't have lasted long, like some adolescent loves. A small spring, like a flame of the forest in full bloom, unaware of the arrival of winter. Why did it vanish so fast? I asked the wind. A drizzle was the reply. It had some floating petals that God had kept as bookmarks in life's account book. I could not decipher the script as they were dried up, wrinkled. A small spring, more scorching than summer, burning with pleasure. I stopped kissing anyone except solitude in its tight black gown. I opened the windows wide. Suppose it comes back, like the spilt wine returning to the cup, shouting with passion, come and lift me up. A small spring, a pang, my lips quiver with a desire. Cheers. That's the first poem. And the second poem, which I will read in English, is Salt. Well, this is a kind of tribute to struggle. And one of the major struggles that he led was, it was called the Salt Satyagraha. That is some more than 90 years ago. He led a march to it's called the Dandi March, to the sea to make salt, because Indians were not allowed to make salt out of seawater. The British had banned it. And in protest, Gandhi, with his followers, went to the sea and made salt there. And thousands of people accompanied him. And that became one of the major steps in our battle for freedom from the colony. Salt. 90 years ago, we extracted from the sweat of the ocean's ceaseless waves a handful of blossom of tender white in a lean, raised hand. One hand suddenly turned into 6,000 manacled ones, billions of fists raised against an empire where the sun never set. From that day, truth in our land came to be called imprisoned salt. Ram, Allah, Khuda, Messiah, that salt was everything to us. The prophetess who emerged home and arrived in the kitchen, the white-winged angel, the eternal savior of our dreams, a handful of liberty, a handful of equality, a handful of love, a handful of kindness, a Buddha of salt. Today, once again, we raise a flag of white salt in the background of the ocean's turquoise blue, the fleeting vision of dark-haired freedom slipping off from our little hands, the snowy elaboration of fair equality that we still keen our ears for, a calloused hand with the scent of sweat, our flesh and tears, handful of the darkened salt of justice, studded with the sand grains of rebellion that Gandhi had raised in Dundee 19 years ago. Now I read my last piece, The Circle. This also was written actually during the lockdown time, when I also edited a collection of poetry called Singing in the Dark, which has just come out from Penguin, India. The Circle. Joy is between two sorrows, a space lit by the morning sun, where a sunflower is in bloom amidst fresh blades of grass that two people can hardly occupy, and maybe a pale butterfly too. You can dance there with movements and gestures possible in that narrow space, and sing in a low voice, can even laugh mildly, tickling the baby sunlight. But there is little time. You know it too. The sun will soon grow harsh. Sorrows will squeeze you from both sides. You may even get trapped there, never able to get out. When the whole body bleeds, you may suspect that joy is but a snare. When the whole body bleeds, you may suspect that joy is but a snare. It is not all wrong, but you were able to see the flower and dance. But pain, it is eternal, and its space infinite. Once trapped the earth, you will have to leave the earth to see there are stars even there. You will have to leave the earth to see there are stars even there. Who knows? Your soul may fly across many light years to land in a star. Who knows? Your soul may fly across many light years to land in a star. It will get a new body there. Then you will know joy is but a narrow space between two sorrows. It will get a new body there, and then you will know joy is but a narrow space between two sorrows. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.
We are the invincible and we are the supreme. Thank you, Professor Sachidanandan. Truly heart-touching words there. Now we have Ms. Silvana Salmanpur, who is an Iranian poet living in the UAE with continuous involvement in all forms of cultural events for the last 30 years. She's educated in the field of economics and political science. She's a recipient of 20 awards from universities, schools, institutes, organizations, and socio-cultural centers, including a Lifetime Achievement Award from Community of Women of Fars in the UAE. These are amongst many other achievements to her name. She has 6 books with compilations of poetry which have been published to date, and over the last many years at The Poetic Heart, she has shared some amazing poems with us. She will be launching another amazing collection of her poetry this year. The Poetic Heart is honored to welcome Ms. Silvana Salmanpur.
Thank you very much for your introducing introduction. I am very proud and honored to be with you again, and very thankful of Dr. Shahab Ghanem, who connected me to this valuable group and poetry night since 2013. And also very thankful of all the Poetic Heart family. I am very happy to see you all. It was very nice to see you again here. I will be with you in with 4 poems in Persian language. The first one is from this book, and this is dedicated to Dr. Shihab Ghanem. Hamishe salam. Oh, I think the English is not much with this. Okay. I will read the other one, then when English come, I will read that one. مدار گردش عشق، ستاره های شکیبا، ستاره های زمین، در آسمان دل من چگونه میتابید که شعله ور شده خون در تمام رگهایم به اضطراب غیاب. حضور ناب خلوصید بر فراز زمین، غریو سینه فریاد از نهاد غمین، شکوه تابش مهتاب در سحاری شب، جلال و شوکت خورشید در طلوع پگاه، لهیب عشق در امواج شط شورانگیز، شراره های نگاه عمیق و مهرآمیز. اگر که توده ابری سپهر را پوشاند و یا اگر طوفان دوباره غوغا کرد، ز فر و جاه عظیم شما نخواهد کاست. به ماندگاری خورشید و برقراری ماه، به پایداری عشق مدار گردش منظومه ها همیشه بجاست و صاف خواهد شد مدار گردش عشق و باز خواهد گشت قرار بر دریا و آب خواهد شد یخ در التهاب حضور. وداع خواهد گفت به چشم ها تشویش، سلام خواهد کرد به سینه ها امید و نقش خواهد بست به چهره ها لبخند و باز خواهد گشت به زندگی شادی یگانگی به جهان. Next one, I'll wait to see which one come because the translate, okay, it come other. همدرد. زنان خاموش، زنان سرکش، زنان روشن، زنان گرسنه نان، گرسنه مهر، تشنه عشق، تشنه دیده شدن و دیدن، زنان توانمند، همدردیم، میسوزیم در آشپزخانه یا در خیابان یا در آتش تهمت و بهتان و یا زنجیری در پا ساکن زندان، با عشقهای نهفته در دل، یادهای نهفته در جان، حرفهای نگفته پنهان، آرزوهای نیامده بر زبان، همدردیم زنان سوخته در حسرت، در آرزوی آزادی، در جستجوی فراغت. بیایید با حنجره های زخمی آوازی بخوانیم که بشوراند رگهای جهان را، برویاند آزادی را و صلح را، بزداید اشکها را و بنشاند بر لبها لبخند. خانه بی لبخند تهی از خوشبختی است. بشکنید سکوت را، کودکان درد را میفهمند. Thank you. And the other one is a spell. در نخستین جرقه دیدار از پس سالیان دور و دراز، بهت و ناباوری، صدا و نگاه، شک و حیرت، تزلزل و تردید، در نگاهی از آرزو سرشار، گفتگوهای خفته خاموش، آه و قهقاه و گریه و خنده، شوری آشنای اشک دریغ، شهد شادی دیریاب حضور، های و هوی تخیل بیدار، اختلاط حقیقت و پندار. اوست این یا خیال بالگشای، اوست این یا فریب رؤیاها، یا فرازی ز موجهای عبور، گردی از نقره بر سر و رویش، جای پای زمان کنار لبش، یادگار کهن به انگشتش. آری این اوست، او که میبایست سالها در کنار من میبود، او که باید تمام این ایام یاور و غمگسار من میبود. میتوانست با کلید یقین بگشاید طلسم هستی را، بنشیند به بالهای دلم، پر زند تا ورای رؤیاها. می نشستم به بالهای دلش، می رسیدم به مرز سبز خدا. می توانست شاد و شاهینوار اوج گیرد به قله ملکوت. می توانست کهکشانها را با سبدهایی از ستاره بخت بنشاند به میهمانی عشق، بنوازد سرود خوشبختی، بشکند برج شیشه‌ای سکوت. می توانست در کشاکش درد تن بشوید به رودهای سرود که از نهادم به سوش جاری بود. می توانستم از حریر دلم بستری گسترم به وسعت شور، در کنارش اجاق جاویدی گرم پر مهر، آتشین پر نور. می توانست آه حیف دریغ، می توانستم آه صد افسوس. آری این اوست، او که می بایست یاور و غمگسار من می بود. اینک اینجا نشسته در بر من، در نگاهش هزارها خواهش، بر لبانش هزارها پرسش، در دلش آه من نمیدانم. روبرویش منم که خواهروار بخت خوش را سپاس میگویم. روبروی منو برادروار زندگی را درود میگوید. هر دوی ما دروغ میگویی. Okay, the next and last, yeah, this was the first, but no different. This is dedicated to Dr. Shihab Ghanem. It's for Poetry Heart. همیشه سلام. ما در دل دبی در قلب شاعرانه با قلب‌هایمان با شعرهایمان پرواز می‌کنیم تا اوج آسمان. فریاد میزنیم از عمق دل و جان یاران جهان سلام. درود ویژه به درگاه خالق هستی. سلام بر گیتی، سلام بر انسان، به صلح، عشق، رفاقت، به روز، شب، به زمان. وداع بر لب ما نشکفد دمی هرگز، همیشه در همه جا درود هست و سلام. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for your heartwarming poetry, Miss Silvana Salmanpur.
Thanks a lot.
In our gathering of esteemed poets today, how could we not welcome those who participated in day one? We would now be playing the soulful and inspirational recordings of these poets. We first have Sheikha Abdullah Al-Mutairi, Bachelor's in Arabic Studies, Master's in Library and Information Science, PhD student in History and Islamic Civilization, the first Arab poetess to get second place in the Prince of Poets competition in her poets translated into English, French, Spanish, and Russian languages. She has 6 published books. She will be reciting a poem titled Rail. Welcome, ma'am.
قطار. هذا الخشب الصامت يطربه صوت القاطرة المبحوح. لا حرف لديه، لا وقت لديه لمعرفة الإملاء أو تصحيح الأخطاء. لا يقرأ إلا صوت القاطرة الهوجاء تمر على أعصاب يديه، وهواء مشحون بالدخان تصاعد من رئتيه. الخشب الصامت يشرب ماء الصمت منتفخا ويموت بصمت. عمرك يا سكة هذا الدرب 70 أو أكثر. لم يحصي الركاب العمر، لم يلمح أحد منهم هذا الحزن الأسمر تلويح يديه، نظرته المكسورة والمكسورة رملا. عمرك يا سكة هذا الدرب آثار الأرواح تمر وبقايا أعينهم أصوات غياب. يا سكة هذا الدرب صمت قارعة أسراب ضباب. وشكرا.
Thank you for gracing our event with your presence this year as well, Ms. Sheikha. Your poems have always invigorated our hearts and minds. Our next poet is a well-known face in the UAE poetry circle. Aisha Yulia Shevchenko is the founder of the Mind Center in the UAE and a practicing multilingual international psychologist in the UAE, USA, Europe, and Russia. She is also a trainer on emotional intelligence in a multicultural environment for life and an orator at business forums. She projects UAE Meditations, received a Social Contribution Award in 2019. Let us welcome Ms. Aisha Yulia Shevchenko.
There are many intelligent people who could tell you to love yourself When your heart gets broken, they tell you to forget and focus on oneself. It's so funny as if they don't know that this is the hardest thing, to forget the one who caused you so dizzy emotional swing. They believe as you actually able to forget on the very next day. You can block in WhatsApp and delete them. They're deliberately sure that this will be the end. But one thing these intelligent people often know, always forget, that your love lives not in your phone. They live inside your own head. There is a little box of their image, and that is the best place of all. It's nourished, it's valued, it has the brightest shimmer, and it is protected with all your force. They live in your head, not in real. And when times to come to forget, the only way really to forget them is to bury these loved ones with sincere sorrow and strongest regret. Yes, it's painful, yet very healthy. Yes, it's hard, yet it is only the way to allow yourself to be real and to live your life in fulfillment with till the last day. When these intelligent people come and tell you to forget, tell them, thank you, I have something better. I will bury my love. You can send me a funeral bouquet.
What beautiful poetry, straight from the heart. Thank you, Miss Aisha. Our next poet, Wael Al-Saig, is an Emirati poet, athlete, and an SME business owner. He owns his own martial arts and fitness academy in Dubai that is funded by the Sheikh Khalifa Fund for Enterprise Development and supported by the Mohammed bin Rashid Establishment for Young Business Leaders. Wael writes primarily in English and it provides him with a more open landscape in which to explore his unique style of expression. The poem he would be reciting today for us is Kingdom of Heaven. Welcome, Mr. Wael Al-Saig.
Hello, everyone. Is everybody good? Can you hear me? Good, good. I'm very nervous because I'm in front of all these giant poets, and to be in front of you is a really big deal. Now, I just need to be very clear, and please apologize. I apologize for my simple question. The poem is recorded. I'm not going to recite it. I will speak about it, but I was told that it would be the recording of the poet that you have. Is that correct? Because I'm going to have a heart attack if you want me to recite something in front of these big poets, and because I don't memorize my poems. And there's a reason for that.
Yes, it is recorded.
Fine, thank you very much. I can breathe a little because I think different poets have different ways of doing it. Some are very, very good in the memory. It flows. I'm not one of those. For me, I have to write the stuff down so I can breathe and sleep. If I don't, it holds me and it will not let me go. So I'm glad that that is the case. I hope you enjoy the poem. The main idea for me is simply to make everybody understand that all of this is happening in the world with the pandemic and everything else. We've never done this before. So it's okay not to know. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to do the absolutely worst decision in that situation because we've never done it before. And I think it's the same with life. If we as poets, especially poets and artists, our job is to really live our life so other people can almost think about it. And if we genuinely live our life, nobody's done that before. So of course we're going to make mistakes. And I feel that the more we make mistakes with the spirit of truth, I think the better and more kinder we are to ourselves. And when we are kind, I think we can really spread a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. So thank you everybody for being so kind to me. Thank you, Dr. Shihab. Thank you, every single member of the cast, the people here. I am so grateful, so grateful. And I hope you enjoy the poem as I have enjoyed all of yours. Shukran. Thank you so much.
The kingdom of heaven is not for the sinless. It's for the sinful that stopped sinning when they could have easily continued. Just as a baby learns to walk by falling, souls learn to be divine by being not divine. Why else would the divine call himself the all-merciful, the all-forgiving? You are molded from mud, so why attempt to live so pristine? You are earthbound, so why insist on flying with angels? Just as a healthy kid needs to return home with scraped knees and bleeding elbows, we also need to return to the doorsteps of the divine with the dirt of sin smeared on our faces, with the wounds and scars of moral risks taken but not accomplished. Then, with our mud-stained feet, we may be granted entry into the kingdom of heaven. Thank you.
We really enjoyed your passion for poetry. Thank you, Mr. Weil. Now we have Dr. Shihab Ghanem, who is a UAE citizen living in Dubai. He has a mechanical and electrical engineering from Aberdeen University, Scotland. In 1964, he did his master's in water resource engineering from Roorkee University. In 1975, a doctorate in economics from Cardiff University, Wales. And in 1989, an honorary doctorate in literature from Soka University, Tokyo in 2015. He has published about 86 books in Arabic and English, including more than 20 books of Arabic verse and 30 collections of translated verse, half of them from Arabic to English, and the rest from various languages to Arab via English. Some of his poetry has been translated into 20 languages. There are more than 20 songs by various singers, including Sami Yusuf. He has been a mentor in every sense, guiding us through the journey of Poetic Heart since its inception. We welcome one of our most seasoned poets and a guiding light for Poetic Heart. Welcome once again, Dr. Ghanem. Over to you.
Thank you so much. It has been a long day, but for me at least, it has been a most enjoyable day. Great poetry and great music. I hope you all feel the same way like me. And I will tell you one thing. You know, Poetic Heart has a speciality of converting all the participants into the family of Poetic Heart. Everybody who joins once, he becomes part of this family, and he feels that way. So today we have added Naomi Shihab Nai to this family, although she is my daughter, Naomi Shihab. So welcome to the family. I will be reciting 3 poems in Arabic. but don't be afraid because there will be an English translation. The first poem will be called 80 years. And already Dr. Case has recited a poem about me reaching 80. And funnily, we wrote these two poems at the same time without knowing that the other has written this poem. He wrote it about me, and then I learned that it was there on Facebook. Whilst I wrote this poem, and it is not very long, but let me recite it. It's a survey of my life, you know. أفي الثمانين حقا أيها الرجل وكنت بالأمس طفلا لعبه الشغل العمر ما العمر أدوارا مررت بها كما يؤدي بتمثيلية بطل في البدء تلهو بلا شغل ولا عمل ووالداك هما ركنان والمثل وبعدها صرت تلميذا بمدرسة تؤسس العلم في من عقله خضل والامتحانات هم لست تهمله لكن لهوك والأقران متصل وبعدها جامعات الكون تقصدها والعلم طود فطود بعده جبل وكم تنقلت في الدنيا وكم شهدت عيناك من عجب كون له المقل وكم تقلدت من شغل ومن عمل وكم تجلى لك الأخيار والسفل وبنت حواء توحي بالقصيد وكم من ملجأ فيه العشاق إن خذلوا وكم عرفت من الحب العظيم وما في الحب من روعة في القلب تشتعل هو الوقود الذي حقا يحركنا نحو المعالي هو الرؤيا هو الأمل يا أيها الشيخ فيلم العمر سجله لك الملاكان لا زيف ولا خلل نسيت تفصيل أعمال أتيت بها لكنها كتبت فاللوح مكتمل وساعة الحق في الأيام مقبلة فما تراك لها أعددت يا رجل. The second poem I'll be reading is called The Meaning of Love. It has been written only recently, a couple of weeks ago, I think. نحبك معنى الحب لولاك لم ندري فأنت خلقت الحب في أول الدهر وأنت زرعت الحب في قلب آدم لحواء في الفردوس في لونه العذري فكانت له حواء أحلى رفيقة تبادله حبا يسيل كما النهر وكم غار إبليس من الحب فهو لا يحب سوى الأحقاد والكره والضر فوسوس للاثنين وهما بعالم من السعد والحب المضمخ بالعطر فذاق ثمارا بعدها سوءتاهما تبديتا كيف السبيل إلى الستر لقد خصف الأوراق والقلب مثقل بما اقترف من زلة دون ما عذري وكم طلب الغفران والله غافر لمن تاب من فعل الخطيئة والوزر قال اهبطا منها. وقالت بعد الهدى ومن شاء من أبناء آدم للحشر هنالك في كوكب الأرض عاود اللقاء وعاد الحب يطفح بالبشر، ولكن حب الأرض حب تزاوج وسكنى ويسمو بالمودة والصبر، ويبقى هو الرحمن أسمى محبة تفيض بأنوار القداسة والطهر. فمرحى لمن يهوى ومرحى لمن له حبال مع الرحمن في السر والجهر. Thank you. The last poem of the day is a poem which I wrote only the day before yesterday. On the 9th, the UAE managed to send a misbar or a probe of hope to Mars, which is a very historic event because this is the first Arab country to go into orbit like that. And Sheikh Mohammed, who was behind this project, which was in fact dreamed of by Sheikh Zayed 30 years ago, has told us the purpose of this project. He is really aiming at a renaissance science and knowledge in the Arab world through this project. So I wrote the poem the following day because I watched the whole event mesmerized for a few hours on television from the beginning. And that night I started writing the poem and finished it the following day and sent it to Al Bayan, and it was published this morning. I will read it in Arabic, and also I translated it because for this event, because I thought, why not put it at the end of the Poetic Heart Festival, and agreed with Mr. Gorav that I translate it. So I spent half the night translating it. So it is a draft translation. But anyway, بين المريخ ومسبار الأمل ماذا أقول؟ يكاد القول يمتنع، وقبله كادت الأنفاس تنقطع، ونحن ننظر للمسبار منطلقا في رحلة الشوق للمريخ يندفع، والكوكب الأحمر المشتاق يسلمه مداره، ويرى المسبار يلتمع. من أين أقبلت يا مسبار خذنا؟ ولم نرى قبل من أبوابنا قرعوا، من أول الدهر نجري في مجرتنا، نسبح الله تمضي الساع والجمع، من كوكب الأرض قد أقبلت في أمل. It's a dialogue between the Mars and this probe. So now the probe is answering it. It says من كوكب الأرض قد أقبلت في أمل من الإمارات حيث الحسن منتجع، أتيت للعلم العرفان مبتدرا إلى الصداقة لا يحدوني الطمع، كل الذي سوف أدريه سأنشره على الأنام بلا حصر لينتفعوا. Then Mars answers أهلا بمن جاء من أرض الخليج، له من عطر زايد فوح كله متع، أنت يا كوكب المريخ تعرفه، وأين صورته في قلبنا تقع، الكل يا صاحب المسبار يعرفه، وليس في الكون إلا من به سمع. أبناؤه يا صديقي طبق صورته، فهم كما زرع الخيرات قد زرعوا. العلم والسلم والتعمير غايتهم، وكان زايد من أخلاقه الورع، وكان مسبارنا حلما يراوده لينهض العرب في الدنيا ويخترع. وجاء فارسنا المقدام شاعرنا من بالإرادة والتصميم يلتفع، وبالإدارة لا تعلى مكانته وقدره في قلوب الشعب مرتفع. الدينامو that's what Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed called Mohammed bin Rashid about this project. الدينامو مثل ما سماه صاحبه، إن الطيور على أشكالها تقع، فأطلق الأمل المحسوب يدفعنا إلى المعالي، إلى الأفلاك. تبارك الله، مسبار يعيد لنا ذكرى جدود بدنيا العلم، كم برعوا في الكيمياء وفي الطب وفي فلك والميكانيكا، وكم من حيلة صنعوا. خوارزمينا في الجبر رائدهم، واللوغاريتمات لفظ منه منتزع، والهيثمي فتى الإبصار رائدهم في كل ما اكتشفوا في الضوء أو وضعوا. والعلم كان الذي يوما يترجمه تصله في وزن ما قد خطه ضلع. وبعد ذلك نمنا ليس يوقظنا تخلف منه، قلب الصخر ينصدع. بنو العروبة والإسلام ليتهم من التخلف أو من خلفهم شبعوا، فلينهضوا، فالزمان اليوم مختلف وليس فيه مكان للأولى الضجع. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khanim, for your valuable contribution to the Poetic Heart. As we near the crescendo, let's hear it once again from Mr. Dev Chakrabarti, who will be performing a very soulful solo rendition. Please join us in welcoming Mr. Dev.
Thank you so much. Hello.
We hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
নাই নাই ভয়, হবে হবে জয়, খুলে যাবে দ্বার, খুলে যাবে দ্বার। নাই নাই ভয়, জানি জানি তোর বন্ধন ডোর ছিঁড়ে যাবে বারে বার, ছিঁড়ে যাবে বারে বার। নাই নাই ভয়। ক্ষণে ক্ষণে তুই হারায় আপনা, সুপ্তি নিশীথ করিস যাপনা। ক্ষণে ক্ষণে তুই হারায় আপনা, সুপ্তি নিশীথ করিস যাপনা। বারে বারে তোরে ফিরে পেতে হবে বিশ্বের অধিকার। নাই নাই ভয়। স্থলে জলে তোর আছে আহ্বান আহ্বান লোকালয়ে চিরদিন তুই গাহিবে যে গান সুখে দুঃখে লাজে ভয়ে ফুল পল্লব নদী নির্ঝর সুরে সুরে তোর মিলাইবে স্বর ফুল পল্লব নদী নির্ঝর সুরে সুরে তোর মিলাইবে স্বর ছন্দে যে তোর স্পন্দিত হবে আলোক অন্ধকার নাই নাই ভয় হবে হবে জয় খুলে যাবে এই দ্বার খুলে যাবে এই দ্বার নাই নাই ভয় জানি জানি তোর বন্ধন ডোর ছিঁড়ে যাবে বারে বার ছিঁড়ে যাবে বারে বার নাই নাই ভয় নাই নাই ভয়
Thank you, Mr. Dev, for such a beautiful performance. Now, our heartfelt gratitude to the pillars of support, our sponsors. Year on year, our exponential growth wouldn't have been possible without the gracious and generous support of our valuable sponsors, Emirates NBD, Amity, PepsiCo, Thomson Music Institute, Melody Makers, Emirates Institute of Banking and Financial Studies, Tiffany, Coke, Nestle, Almarai, Masafi, and Barakat.
As we draw the curtains on this wonderful evening, we surely feel a gush of excitement, happiness, and honor on being a part of this prestigious annual poetry symposium, the 10th edition of The Poetic Heart. A heartfelt gratitude and a huge round of applause to all those working seamlessly behind the scenes.
May we now request Mr. Nitin Vij, SGI Gulf General Director, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Mr. Vij.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and our viewers across the globe. Allow me to open this closing address with a quote from our leadership here in UAE. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum from Flashes of Thought. Quote, I believe that positive energy and optimism help us to take up any challenge in life and to succeed in even the most difficult tasks. I also believe that positive energy is contagious and we can transmit it to others, unquote. So may we give a huge round of applause to all those who have made this absolute distinctive 10th edition of Poetic Heart a spectacle to behold, to cherish for times to come. The unprecedented times that we have witnessed in the year gone by and are still challenging ourselves to successfully tide through have only reignited our heart-to-heart bonds. And hopefully, as we have envisaged, perhaps we have been able to do so with this event. On behalf of SGI Gulf, may I take this opportunity to thank all our esteemed participants, our renowned poets, performers, and all our budding poets and musicians from the day one, who transformed this event into a labor of love with their enthusiasm and support. Thank you so much. A very big thank you to all our highly valuable sponsors, Amity University, Emirates NBD, PepsiCo, Thomson Music Institute, Melody Makers, EIBFS, Tiffany, Coke, Nestle, Almarai, Masafi, Barakat, who have all so graciously supported us through this time. May we also pause for a moment and extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the volunteers, those who have worked so hard for months behind the scene, while keeping the safety protocol in view and yet weaving together such a seamlessly fantastic event. Thank you all and see you next year with a grandeur poetic heart connecting humanity 2022. Thank you.
As this event reaches its finale, we feel gratitude predominantly for hosting perhaps the first ever virtual poetry symposium across the globe, cutting through time zones, languages, and very odd that the evolving world order has brought us face to face with.
Yet we stand together, rooted in our invincible spirit as Poetic Heart, truly connecting humanity. We stand as one humanity, humanity of love and friendship. Friendship across boundaries, boundaries of languages and borders, borders fading into poetry, poetry of our heart to heart connect, connecting our humanity. We stand as one invincible humanity. From this uniquely pioneering show, we bid adieu. Thank you so much and see you all again at a bigger, grander Poetic Heart 2022. Masalama. Thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend.